right, everybody, welcome back. This is going to be like a quick, short mini episode. Maybe we'll do these. We'll see how these kind of turn out. This is going to be for Sunday Night Football. Monday Night Football, we'll go over the lines, DFS stuff. Follow Showdown Joe. I post all his stuff on my Twitter and on my website. He writes some good articles for the Showdown. I may have some DFS stuff for the 2-game slates for the Sunday night, Monday night slate. But in terms of DFS for that, we keep that separate from the main slate on Sunday. So we're just going to hop into the games that are Sunday Night Football and Monday Night Football. As always, Kyle Mastelloni, K. Mastelloni, Viking fan JP Lion, both join me as well. Kyle, no need to kind of, ease into it. I'll just ask you right away. The Rams host the Chicago Bears Sunday Night Football. The Rams are an 8-point favorite. That over-under is 46.5. What do you like about that game?
I'm actually going Rams -8. We talked about it on our intro podcast there a few weeks ago. I mean, I think we all love the Rams. I think Matthew Stafford's actually best value of an MVP bet. So I think this is going to be a big game coming out game for him in front of his new home fans for the first time, and also that first game at SoFi Stadium with fans there. So I think they're just too good for the Bears. I picked them as a Super Bowl team, so I'm picking them to run through them. It's going to be a bad Sunday Night Football game to start the season, but I got the Rams cleaning house against the Bears there.
All right, JP, tell me why the Bears are going to win this game by 20-plus points.
I don't think they're going to score 20 points, so that's not going to be happening here. I'm on the Rams at -8 as well, and I like Stafford as well. I think they have weapons. I want to see Darrell Henderson for fantasy purposes. But it's more a bet against the Bears. I mean, they don't want to win these games with Dalton as their quarterback. They want Fields in there, and I don't think Dalton's the answer. And against the Rams defense, if we only have to take -8, I'll take it.
I'm with you guys on this one. I think in terms of Dalton and the Bears and what you said, a lot of people have talked about it, but it really feels like that the Bears are throwing Dalton out week 1 to the Rams and saying, okay, you handle this. And then when it goes bad, they can play Fields in week 2, because when you're looking at their upcoming schedule, not a bunch of great defenses coming up, especially not that have the pass rush and an Aaron Donald like the Rams do. The Bears, they play the Bengals, the Browns, the Lions, the Raiders, the Packers. A couple decent teams in there, but even like the Browns and the Packers, the Browns defense isn't bad, and the Packers defense is fine, but they're not, at the level of the Rams, or they're not, these potential. I think they're trying to avoid, I don't know as much an injury with Fields, because unlike a guy like, not that Burrow can't run, but Fields is much more of a mobile guy, where if it's a bad offensive line, he can kind of break down the play and kind of do what he's got to do. I think it's more of they're afraid of breaking him mentally, throwing him into his first game. What if he comes down, he goes 5 for 25, he's sacked 6 times, he's like, I've seen Chicago Bears quarterbacks do this for 15 years. I saw Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler was a great quarterback, and he came in here and he got sacked 120 times a game. So I think that plays into it, because you're playing for a franchise that historically they went to a Super Bowl with Rex Grossman. I mean, this quarterback has not been the focus of the Chicago Bears. And I think that's what kind of I struggle with in this game, is I like the Rams, but the Bears, that defense is still good, and that defense always kind of keeps them close enough in games that they can either cover or they can backdoor it, or they're in a position to cover the game. So I do like the Rams -8, and that'll be my official pick for the podcast. But what I do think I'm going to end up betting in terms of actual money when the game comes around, I like a teaser. I like teasing the Rams down to -1, so a 7-point teaser, do the Rams down to -1, and then tease that up and do the under. So you've got the Rams at -1 and then under 53.5. I think that's a pretty solid bet, because let's just say the Bears do score 20 points, which I don't think they're going to score. Then you're still needing, the Rams to put up 30-plus points, which obviously they can do. But I don't think this game's going over 53 if you're going to tease it up that way. All right, well, let's just get to Monday night then. Let's make this quick. Let's make this easy. Let's do this. JP, I'll start with you. The Ravens, they're 3.5-point favorites at the Raiders. Over-unders 50.5. Obviously, coming off the news of now the Gus bus. The tires have fallen off the Gus bus, unfortunately. We've got a flat tire on the Gus bus, and unfortunately, he will not be rolling this year. It sucks because, like I said, running backs are replaceable. But when you start replacing third and fourth and fifth running backs, then you're starting to get into some danger territory. Obviously, the Ravens, they've signed Devonta Freeman. They signed Latavius Murray. It seems like Latavius Murray, maybe not week 1 or 2, but it seems like the plan is for him to kind of be the guy because he's kind of that one-for-one sub of a Gus kind of Edwards. Obviously, the Ravens still have the other backs that they've had. But like you said, you're talking about these guys that are potentially third or fourth stringers to start the year. You know, you're not looking to give them 20, 25 carries every single week. JP, what are your thoughts on this game?
They still have their number 1 running back. It's still Lamar. I mean, they're going to be their best rusher. He has to take a step forward in the passing game this year, but the line hasn't moved when the first 2 or 3 running backs have gone down. And I guess we're going to roll with Tyson Williams here, or Devonta Freeman, or Latavius Murray, or Le'Veon Bell. Whoever you're going to throw out there, I'm going to roll with them -3.5.
Yeah, and like you said with the running backs, I don't think that's a position that's really going to change the spread unless it's like a team that's it doesn't matter the quality of the running back, but it's also kind of how your team's built around. So even like a Vikings, when a Dalvin Cook goes down because he does so much for you running and catching the ball. Even with the Giants, you saw when Saquon Barkley went down, like those lines started to change just because there are these dynamic playmakers. But like you talked about, the dynamic playmaker, not that J.K. Dobbins isn't, because J.K. Dobbins is going to be an awesome running back in the NFL. But Lamar Jackson's that dynamic playmaker. So as long as he's still on the field, you still have that number 1 option in those in the options, in the RPOs, in all of that stuff. Kyle, Ravens are 3.5-point favorite. You see them covering this game?
Yeah, I see them covering, but I feel like I'm walking directly into a trap. I mean, the line just seems way too good to be true, but it's like we talked about the other day. It's just something, sometimes you see a team much better. I mean, I don't think the injuries are going to affect them much in this game. I mean, Marcus Peters is a big loss as well, but I think they still roll here, at least enough to cover the 3.5. Tell me why this, you're a Ravens fan. Tell me why this line is only 3.5 here. It just seems way off.
Because it's a road game week 1, and the Raiders always have 1 or 2 games a year on a Monday night or a late Sunday or something where a team goes into there. It used to be Oakland, now it's obviously Las Vegas, where they go in there and they just don't look right. And I think that the injuries maybe play a part of it. But I think when you look at it, I think this line's kind of right. When I was looking at it and I was thinking about it, I thought the Ravens were going to be between a 3 and a 4-point favorite. So obviously 3.5's right there. I think what this is doing is it's saying the Ravens are obviously the most likely winner of the game. But at 3.5, it's saying the Raiders can be down by 10 and score a meaningless touchdown and backdoor that and kind of get you inside that number. So that's kind of what I'm afraid of. When you're looking at it, 70% of the money's on the Ravens. That line's kind of stayed right around 3.5. It went down to 3, then it went up to 4. So it has kind of fluctuated. So the public is on the Ravens, but the line's kind of moving up and down with it. Road favorites always scare me, especially week 1, especially in a primetime spot. It's just we saw last night with the Cowboys and the Buccaneers, when you go into a place and you're 8-point, 7-point, 10-point dogs, there's no pressure on you. Because guess what? You lose by 15 points. It's like that's what everyone thought. And now the Cowboys coming out of this game, they lost the game last night, a game they very easily could have won. And people are like, look at this Cowboys. Like, this Cowboys team looked awesome. Dak looked awesome. Now, if the Cowboys were a 3 or a 4-point favorite last night, obviously that changes the whole thing because it's like, oh, yeah, well, they looked awesome. Well, they didn't win the game. So I think that's an added pressure of a team like the Ravens who kind of feel like they're that second tier kind of team where people I think have now started to put Buffalo with the Kansas City and not Buffalo with the Ravens. And I think a lot of people really feel like in the AFC, or at least I feel like it, and it should be, that solid first tier in the AFC is the Kansas City Chiefs. They are by themselves. They are the best team in the AFC. There's nobody on that tier. I understand people wanting to put the Bills in their own tier, but I do think the Bills and the Ravens and maybe the Colts and the Titans, these are the kind of teams that if the Chargers take a big step forward. I think the Bills and the Ravens are probably that second tier team, but I do understand the Bills being ahead of it. But to me, and you guys correct me if I'm wrong, I think the Bills are closer to the Ravens than the Bills would be closer to the Chiefs.
I think you're on point there. I agree with you.
So I think there's that added pressure that the Ravens are coming in Monday night at Las Vegas. And it's not the black hole anymore, obviously, because it's not in Oakland, but it's still that, that aura of the black hole and all of that that's, kind of going in there. And there's the pressure. Because if you lose, all of a sudden it's all the Chargers are going to be better than you, the Colts are going to be better than you, the Titans are going to be better than you. I mean, if the Ravens lose 2 games, I'm going to be hearing how the Jaguars are going to be better than us. It's like that's what it's going to come down to, and I think there's that added pressure, which I think adds to the line. My official pick for the pod will be the Ravens -3.5. I don't love it. Like I said, I think I'd rather use the Ravens, use that money line in a parlay, use them somewhere else. I'm not going to tease the Ravens because, like I told you guys in the first episode, never tease across 0. You're losing points there. If you're going to tease a team at 3.5, you're going to tease them across 0. Use that money line, play it with something else. I think that's kind of the way to do it. So yeah. So for the podcast, my official pick will be the Ravens -3.5. But I'll probably use their money line in a parlay.
And just another thing to mention about that game, like just like with SoFi, it's going to be the first game with fans in Vegas at that beautiful stadium.
And I'm curious to see how that's going to start affecting things, because I think it's going to play a much bigger deal in college than it is in the NFL. I think the NFL guys are professionals. They're obviously fans help in the NFL. I'm not going to say they don't. But a college atmosphere, I mean, you look at let's just look at like a Michigan or like a Penn State. Like these kids playing in these 18, 19-year-old kids playing in front of 100,000 people for the first time, playing in front of even 50, 60, 70,000 people for the first time. It's you just start doing things that you're not accustomed to. And then by the time once you get to the NFL, the fans do they're there, but I don't think they're as important of an aspect as they are in college, because I think the players are better both physically and mentally when you get to the NFL. So that was kind of a quick, just Sunday night football, Monday night football kind of thing. Is there anything we didn't go over, either props or anything that you guys, fantasy-wise, anything you guys like for either of these games, or I think we kind of covered it?
Well, I was just going to say, since you mentioned, college versus professional football, pretty good bet of the week here. Baylor -45 against Texas Southern. Great game tomorrow that I'll be at. So,
so like, let's say it's like midway through the third quarter and Baylor's up blank to 0. What are you concerned that you're like, what's the number? Like if you're up, let's say 28-0 midway through the third quarter, I think you're still like, okay, like maybe we can put this on. What's the number that if you're like midway through the third quarter, you're like, this 45-point spread's not hitting?
Definitely less than 20. I mean, 28 midway through the third is still questionable, just because we don't really like to score the ball. But now probably 24, 25. That's when I start getting nervous if it's midway through the third. But I don't know. I'll still be sitting there cheering them on. So whatever.
I'm sure it'll be 42-0 at halftime. So I'm sure that won't even necessarily be a thing. Those are always the best. I remember when being in college and going to like those games where it's like you want to go, you want to like be a part of the game, you want to whatever. But it's like when you play like these crappy teams, like Maryland, we used to play like Howard. We had Temple one year, and Temple fucking came in and they steamrolled us. But we would play like Howard a couple years, like Morgan State, and it's always nice just to be up like 49-7 at half. It's just like, okay, like, all right, we'll stay for a little bit of the third quarter. Okay, now here's the guys that we've never heard of. Like, all right, like the drunk's wearing off. Let's go back and drink more. Like that's kind of how that college scene.
Yeah, and that's the only game I got to go to last year was the Kansas game. That was the only game they would let me go to. So I managed to get all that I could that game.
Hey, at least it was a Big 12 game, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, all right, Kyle, any final thoughts before we wrap this up?
No real final thoughts from me. Just by the same lines of JP there. Canes -9 on Saturday. Let's get it done.
So, all right, I'm gonna switch subjects real quick before we finish this up. Kyle, you're going to SmackDown tonight.
Yes.
Assuming John Cena comes out, I want to hear the noise you're gonna make when his music hits.
Oh, I can't do that. It's got to be natural. I don't know.
So then you're gonna have to. So then what I need, I guess, you're going by yourself, so you can't even have somebody record you. But I just need that instant reaction of like, because wrestling's one of those things that like if you're still a fan as an adult, like when that music hits for a guy, you like turn into a kid again. You're like, oh my god, like look, like he's here, like it's right there, he's right there. Like wrestling's like that one thing where it's like, you see him, you're like, oh my god, he's right there. That's John Cena, So yeah. All right, so we'll wrap this up. You're getting ready to head to SmackDown. Obviously, we've got college football on Saturday. We're recording this early Friday afternoon, and then we've got the NFL stuff on Sunday. JP will join me most likely for the stream we do Sunday morning, probably going to be on YouTube. see how that goes. Yeah, I think that's kind of it. Like I said, this is kind of just a short primetime Sunday Night Football, Monday Night Football kind of thing. So thank you guys for listening. And like always, rate, review, like, subscribe. Helps us keep it free, helps us kind of give you guys the information and the entertainment just to do it. So thank you guys for listening, and we'll see you back next week for week 2. Thank you guys.